Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Let's have a conversation about the left's favorite word, privilege. Oh, they love to lecture you about your privilege, just how privileged you are. Ooh, white skin? Privileged. White cis male? Super privileged. Like you're basically immune to getting arrested. That seems to be the narrative they love to spread, huh? But really, if we think about the idea of privilege, it seems to me at least, like the only group with real, discernible, visual privilege are liberals themselves. It's called, wait for it, with the whole SpongeBob rainbow, liberal privilege. And that right there is what I want to talk about. You know, far lefties probably wouldn't exist if they didn't occupy the highest slot of privilege. We bend over backwards not to offend them. The entire world seems to cater around them. Advertising agencies, HR departments, recruiting departments, universities, everybody just wants to cater to these young, soft-skinned, snowflake liberals. That to me seems like incredible privilege. Meanwhile, the rest of us are walking on frickin' eggshells and getting denied opportunity for being normal human beings. And then there's the ultimate form of privilege, media privilege. The left gets to promote its narratives as dishonest as they want. They never get debunked. The left gets to be Joe Biden without ever really getting pressed on the whole dementia thing. That is frickin' privilege. And trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Excuse the long intro, but we're getting to a point here. You know, the left, the Democrat Party, which represents the left, is so incredibly privileged they don't even have to campaign. They have the media doing it for them. But could you imagine what the world would be like if the media treated them honestly, fairly, equally to how they treat conservatives, or even, close to equally? The Democrat Party wouldn't freaking exist. Joe Biden wouldn't be president, because if people were asking the right questions, like this journalist did during the White House press briefing with Karine Jean-Pierre, if this was the status quo, if this was the basic standard, instead of this ridiculous double standard, if Democrats were asked legitimate questions, their little political empire would have collapsed 8 years ago. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We've got an absolutely savage viral moment to go over here, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, I think I pretty much laid out the context in the intro. Let's just present this video by asking a very simple question. Do you think Biden would have ever been elected? Or do you think that Biden's level of support would have survived to the extent that it did, or that it has, if journalists actually did their job like this guy?
I want to ask about polling. In February, the president conducted an interview with, I believe it was Telemundo, and he was asked about the dismal state of his job approval ratings. And he answered in words to this effect, "Do you know anyone that believes the polling these days?" And he talked in some detail about the difficulty of getting people on the phone and compiling accurate polling. Whenever you're asked about the president's dismal job approval ratings, you say we're not going to look at polls, we look at his accomplishments. And yet, when you are asked about various domestic policy initiatives, you will say these poll very well. People support what the president wants to do. If you look at the individual subjects on the polling, they support what the president's agenda is. So, once and for all, are only certain polls valid in your eyes, the ones that support your agenda? Or is the polling data that shows that President Biden has been stuck for 2 years at the low 40s in his approval ratings, are those valid? Polls that show that the electorate at large and also significant majorities within the Democratic Party believe that the president is too old. The polls that show the American people and also significant majorities within the Democratic Party don't want him to run again. And the polls that show his handling of the economy, foreign policy, all of these dismal polls, his job approval ratings, does the White House have any basis to challenge the accuracy of that polling?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Well, friends, don't even answer the question. I'll answer it for you. The answer is absolutely not. Holy moly. That question was freaking based. I mean, the whole premise, all of it was freaking based. That right there is exactly, and I mean exactly what I have been looking for the past 3 years. Joe Biden's been enveloped in scandals and lies and horrible, horrible policy results, and he's pretty much been allowed to walk away unscathed for the most part. I mean, of course, there's that 5 to 6% of people actually paying attention, people who represent the middle, middle, that is, who can swing both ways, and we're seeing a little bit of that shift, but it's nothing compared to what it should be. For Pete's sakes, 70% of the country at this point should have abandoned this guy. The only people left should be the old farts addicted to MSNBC who've kind of just, replaced having a personality in a life with hating Trump, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of like a sad way to retire, but it just is what it is. It's no surprise Joe Biden would hold on to the vote blue no matter who crowd, but the idea that he's held on to independents, the idea that he's held on to even moderate Democrats to this extent, there's only one way to explain that phenomenon. It's a media achieve phenomenon. If people were asking the right questions, just during the debates, if these were the types of questions we were receiving, or the candidates at the time were receiving, it would be frickin' game over. But instead, the mainstream media, even Fox News, defended Joe Biden, essentially acted more as Democrat activists, acted more as Joe Biden's freaking legal counsel and representation during the debates, rather than debate moderators and hosts.
That's what we're talking about here.
All right, that's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well, Vice President, no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
He stood up.
No,
up,
the answer to the question is no.
The double standard is as clear as day. Joe Biden has an actual scandal on his hands. Joe Biden's currently being hit with a possible impeachment inquiry, and most likely a full-on impeachment. I mean, we'll have to see. It's kind of getting close to election season. But his family members and people around him are being subpoenaed with good reason, not, the way Donald Trump is being illegally persecuted. There's actual there evidence suggesting Joe Biden accepted bribes and was working with his family on some sort of corrupt bribery scheme, illegal lobbying operation. They benefited to the tune of $20 to $50 million as of the information that we have in terms of bank records. It's most likely a lot more than that. They enriched themselves by tens upon tens of millions of dollars. We have the evidence to prove it. We have the evidence to suggest that Joe Biden was involved, yet nobody in the media talks about it. Nobody in the White House press corps points the damn finger. Nobody asks the hard questions. When Donald Trump was being illegally persecuted, unjustly persecuted, illegal FISA warrants, illegal wiretaps, uncorroborated, salacious informations and dossiers, bogus anonymous source reports to the media, all of which ended up falling flat and turning out to be flat-out lies. Yet the media reported incessantly on it. The media attacked the Trump administration, Trump allies, for years. Day on frickin' day. I mean, they were relentless, non-stop. Moments like you just saw with Karine Jean-Pierre and that one journalist, except every day. Questions like that based on false premises. And when they weren't pursuing their witch hunts or slandering the former president of the United States, what were they doing? Well, exactly what they're doing now, spewing fake news, fear-mongering, hyperbolic garbage.
For the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler and by Mussolini to dehumanize people and encourage their followers to go after their opponents.
Donald Trump isn't just echoing the words of Hitler and Mussolini by saying he will root out vermin from within. He's planning real action to follow in their footsteps.
That Trump is essentially Mussolini reincarnated with a little dash of Hitler. Donald Trump's going to imprison and execute all of his political opponents. He's going to launch concentration camps. I mean, this is legitimate left-wing rhetoric on MSNBC and other outlets. And so again, I think the double standard, I think the unfair treatment is on full display here, isn't it? Joe Biden gets treated with kid gloves. Joe Biden gets asked, "Oh, Mr. President, did you enjoy the ice cream? Did you enjoy the movie?" This is real stuff,
Mr. President, what did you order?
Chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to move, Mr. President.
It was compelling.
Those are the questions that he gets. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, throughout his entire presidency, got, "Excuse me, Mr. President, can you please explain to the people why you're a horrible, racist, bigoted, Nazi, Adolf Hitler-praising, Kim Jong-un's friend, nuclear apocalypse piece of garbage?" Every single frickin' day is the same thing. "Excuse me, Mr. President, we got an uncorroborated report this week in the media that you hate children and your intention to make America great again is to start spawning child labor camps at the southern border." Every frickin' day, a new wacky conspiracy theory. Donald Trump and Kayleigh McEnany at the time, like frickin' Neo in the Matrix, dodging the bullets, smacking him back, stopping him in in their path. Every single day was the frickin' same. And finally, we're getting to the point where Joe Biden is being treated equally. Why, you ask? Well, it must be because the media, finally in a last-ditch effort to regain trust of the American people, decided they were going to do their jobs properly. Of course not. We know exactly what's happening. They know Joe's done, and so they're panicking frantically, seeing this, and so they're working tirelessly now to hopefully stop Joe Biden from running again, because he's most likely going to lose. They want to replace him with, well, there's no real backup plan yet, but they're clearly desperate. They're panicking because they know Joe's done. But I don't know what they're thinking. Joe Biden is a sociopathic narcissist. If you think the guy's not going to run for re-election, you're an absolute schizo. It's happening no matter how much you try to stop it. Anyways, kind of just a random rant, a little bit all over the place. You guys get the point though. They're fake news, they're bogus, and if they just did their frickin' job, the American democratic election process would be so much smoother, so much sweeter, so much better. And hopefully this video really puts that into perspective for you. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.